Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thanks for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today, courtesy of our friends across the pond at boxing247.com. We're going to start you off with a short little story out of Australia, but one that is of interest to Talk and Fight fans, because Mike Orr from Knuckle Up was talking about Jackson, England, and in fact interviewed him on his show just the other week prior to this fight taking place. The fight has now taken place. And sadly, for our interview subject, he lost. But it was a battle. The Aware Super Theatre in Sydney, Australia, witnessed one of the best fights of 2022 as Paul Fleming dominated Jackson, England, to take the vacant WBA Super Featherweight Oceana belt this week. The 33-year-old local fighter defeated his Australian counterpart with cards of 95-94, 95-94, and 97-92. In a real war in which he came from less to more to get an excellent victory. Fleming fell to the canvas in the second round, which seemed to tip the scales for England, who at 24 had youth on his side. However, Fleming's experience shone through, and he was able to bounce back as the rounds went on and add to his tally heading into the decision. It was a fight of much exchange and bravery, says our report, in which both threw over 600 punches during the 10 rounds of action, one of the candidates for Fight of the Year and a real show for the Australian public. So Fleming remains undefeated at 28 wins, 1 draw and 18 knockouts, while England drops his record to 13 wins, 2 losses, and 8 knockouts. So good for boxing down under, and good for those fighters to go the distance and make it a real war that we'd like to see. Across the pond and around the world, we'll end up in Plant City, Florida for a fight that is upcoming. Courtesy of our friends down in Florida, we see that ProBox is putting on an event. Boxing manager Tim Van Nieuwhuis has 4 fighters in action this Friday night, that'll be tomorrow night, as his company ProBox Promotions will put on a show at the ProBox Event Center in Plant City, that's in Florida, USA. And in fact, it's going to be streamed on their own YouTube channel. Fans will see featherweight Paul Rivera make his pro debut. Middleweight Daryldahl St, who's 2-0 with 1 knockout. Super middleweight Daniel Blancas making his pro debut. And cruiserweight Naji Lopez, who's 3-0 with 3 knockouts. They'll all be in action. And here's a bit of a description and some quotes. Paul Rivera is a featherweight and highly ranked international amateur will be making his pro debut in this card. I'm excited for the next steps in my career. I've been dreaming boxing. I'm becoming a world champion, said the proud Puerto Rican fighter, Rivera. I'm looking to become a legend in the sport, and you can only get 1 pro debut, so I want to make it as memorable as possible, as I look to put on a show that everyone will enjoy. Fair enough. 2020 Olympian Daryldahl St is a Haitian middleweight who showed a lot of promise at every level of amateur boxing. He says, I'm ready to make my country proud. I want to represent my country on the world stage of professional boxing and bring a world title back to Haiti. Many think of me as a boxer, but I'm more than that. I have a lot of intangibles such as power, speed, and other stuff people can't explain. Fair enough. The 6'4", 4-inch light heavyweight Daniel Blancas is ready to show the world that he is here to take over his division. I'm excited about this bout, he said, and I look to show people that my style is better suited for the pros. I have a style that's hard to deal with for 6, 8, or 10 rounds, and people who try to avoid me at the highest level of amateur boxing. And even then, most did not win. I look forward to showing the world what I can do. Finally, in their story, cruiserweight Naji Lopez is looking to be the next great American cruiserweight. With only 3 pro fights all coming by way of stoppage, Lopez is looking the part of the star very early into his career. Lopez is going to this fight with confidence after recently defeating Alex Tehran, who has fought at the world contender level. I'm excited to show what I can do on this card and continue proving to the world that I'm the next great cruiserweight, said the 22-year-old power puncher Lopez. I want to fight for a world title in the not too distant future. And ProBox, my manager, and my team as a whole are putting me in a position to be the face of this division. I'm excited for the future and that will show on Friday. Right on. Daniel Blanca says, I'm excited about this bout and I look forward to show people that my style is better suited for the pros. I have a style that's hard to deal with for 6, 8, 10 rounds. People, oh my gosh, I already said that. Sorry about it. Fans. All right. Well, that came to a quick conclusion. That story out of Plant City, Florida. I was expecting more quotes, as probably you were too. Richard Schaefer, who heads up Probellum, has made the same prediction about the future of Pat McCormack as he did for young Saul Canelo Alvarez, that the Olympian will become a pound-for-pound great. Schaefer said nobody really believed him when he told the boxing world that Alvarez was destined for the very top of the sport. And when he began promoting the Mexican over a decade ago, Schaefer was proven correct as Canelo has grown into the multi-weight world champion and the biggest fighter, well, let's say one of the biggest fighters on the planet. McCormack, an Olympic silver medalist, makes his professional debut in Newcastle on Friday night at the Probellum Throwdown. And Schaefer says the 26-year-old will become a world champion and take over the sport just like Canelo. I know I'm going to be right because I was right in 2009 when I signed Young Fighter, and I said this guy is going to be the face of the sport. He's going to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Schaefer said, nobody really believed me. They said it was a promoter talk, but that guy, Canelo Alvarez, I consider myself to be extremely fortunate to work with such a generational talent. I'm telling you guys, remember where you heard it first. He will be a world champion. He will be a superstar. He'll be the face of sport because he has all the ingredients. Pat was the most significant, sought-after talent over there, irrespective of weight, following the Olympic Games. And if he stays sharp, stays focused, and doesn't listen to all those outside influences, then the sky's the limit. That's a lot of ifs. It is an honor to be able to work with Pat McCormack, concluded Mr. Schaefer. Let's see. McCormack faces Nicaragua's Danny Mendoza over 6 rounds at the Ultilita Arena and has promised to go looking for a spectacular knockout win if the chance presents itself. I've not boxed since the Olympics. And I feel like I was celebrating my silver well for about 5 months, McCormack said with a smile. But I've been training with Ben Davidson since January, working on things, and I trust Ben and the team. So I'm going to go out there and do my thing on Friday night. If I smell blood, I'm going to take Mendoza out. Where have we heard that before? Anyway, moving back across the pond over to Illinois, just outside of Chicago, the Dome at the ballpark in Illinois, USA. Chicago's longest running promotional company, Hits Boxing, returns to the Dome at the ballpark on Friday night, April 1st, April Fool's Day, with a special night of professional boxing. In addition to the 9-bout card, the inaugural inductee of the Hits Boxing Ring of Honor, Mike Jimenez, will be enshrined. No less than 7 undefeated prospects will see action in the crowd-pleasing fights. 2 of them, Jimmy Quieter's 4-0-1, 4 knockouts out of Oak Park, Illinois, fights Mirade Lubanzadio Zola, 2-0 with 1 knockout. He fights out of Canal Winchester, Ohio. That'll be a 6-round super middleweight battle. And this will be the 2nd consecutive undefeated opponent for Quieter. One of the highlights of the evening will be the induction of Jimenez, who was a staple of Hits Boxing, being enshrined as the first fighter inducted into the Ring of Honor. We created the Ring of Honor as a way to pay homage to our former fighters who've been a large part of our success. This will become part of each of our shows going forward. Mike has meant a lot to Hits Boxing, to the boxing climate of this town, and to a lot of fans, said Hits Boxing CEO Bobby Hitz. It's only right to have him to be the first inductee. He headlined so many of our shows and put in great performances. Mike just retired, so I'm very excited that I can honor him in this way. Also seeing action in 6 rounds, by the way, 6-round bouts. Daniel Buenaventura out of Chicago is facing Yamin Mohammed in a lightweight contest. David Bosak out of Rosemont, Illinois, is going toe-to-toe against Akeem Black out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in a junior welterweight bout. And the rest of the show will feature undefeated fighters in heavyweight. Dante Pettigrew, 4-0, out of Chicago. Super flyweight Javier Rivera, 3-0, out of Chicago. Lightweight Angel Barrera, out of Chicago. And junior welterweight, Jorge Perez, 2-0, also out of Chicago, and they'll take part in 4-round bouts. Also scheduled to see action will be Tommy Hughes, who's 9-2 with 4 knockouts, also out of Chicago, and he takes on Sarah French out of Chicago, also in a super middleweight fight. Cool. All right, moving on. WBC number 9, IBF number 15, WO number 14, light heavyweight Ali Ismailov, who's 7-0, speaking of undefeated, with 5 knockouts, will face Iquique, Chile's. So this fella is from Iquique, Chile, Abraham Tebez, who's also undefeated, 7-0. In an exciting 10-round battle of undefeateds, 175-pound sluggers at Salida Promotions' next Detroit Brawl event. That's expected to take place on April 2nd, again at the Lincoln Ballroom of the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center in Dearborn, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. Considered one of the hardest punchers in boxing, and now working with highly regarded trainer and former champion John Jackson, 28-year-old Ismailov is a former amateur standout on the international level, now competing as a world-class professional. Ismailov has already held the WBO Global Championship in his short 2-year pro boxing career, among many impressive performances. He was last seen in the ring in January, needing just 4 rounds to brutalize capable veteran Israel Dufus at the Caribe Royale in Orlando, Florida. Every fight, I'm coming to show my sharpened tools, said Ismailov during a break in his training with Jackson. I'm excited to fight again in Detroit against my undefeated opponent, to give the fans another spectacular knockout. I will soon be world champion. Fair enough. Moving along here, let's go to Munich, Germany. I haven't had a story out of Munich in a while. On April 16th in Munich, Germany, WBF Intercontinental titleist Shafat Isufi will face former IBF world champion Alejandro Barrio for the vacant WBF World Light Heavyweight title. Isufi, who's 33-4 with 2 draws and 24 knockouts, became WBF Intercontinental Champion last September when he defeated Czech warrior Tomasz Adamek, and is now ready for what will be his second world title opportunity. In 2019, the Serbian-born German lost the decision to Billy Joe Saunders for the WBO World Super Middleweight title, but has rebounded with 6 straight victories to line up a second chance at light heavyweight. On a previous visit to Germany, Alejandro Naco Barrio, who's 39-10 with 33 knockouts of his own, won the IBF World Super Middleweight crown in 2007, stopping Robert Stieglitz in 3 rounds. He lost the title 7 months later to Lucien Butte in front of over 13,000 spectators over in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It will be the hard-punching Colombian veteran's first world title fight since then, so he'll be undoubtedly looking to make the most of it. The fight, expected to be an explosive affair, will headline a show promoted by Petcos Boxing. Over in England, Jack Massey will make the first defense of his IBO World Cruiserweight title on April 30th at the University of Bolton Stadium, and that'll be shown live on Fight Zone for you UK viewers. Massey, from Markle but fighting out of Manchester, will return to the scene of his world title triumph when he became the first man to stop Bilal Lagoun, finishing the Belgian in 3 pulsating rounds in November of last year. Winning the IBO crown thrust Massey into the higher echelons of the globe's 14 stone 4 pounds division, with the 28-year-old now ready to face the world's best. Massey's only career defeat in 20 outings was a contentious 2019 British title loss to touted Richard Riapori in a fight many had one smack Jack winning. With 10 knockouts from his 19 wins, the former double ABA champion is ready to go again and is aiming to put the cruiserweight division back on notice, as are a few other fighters I can name. Anyway, said Jack, I'm itching to get back in the ring and show everyone what I'm about again. Winning the world title at the Bolton Stadium was a special night, and the atmosphere was through the roof. I'll always bring a big crowd, and April 30th will be absolutely rocking again. We are ready to go. I have a great team behind me with Rob Rimmer, Kev Murray, Dennis Hobson, and Steve Crump. I can't thank them enough. I'm ready to put another knockout performance and prove I'm one of the best cruisers in the world. Fair enough. Here we go. Sonny Edwards going toe-to-toe against Julio Cesar Martinez. This is a fight we've been looking forward to hearing about. And Richard Schaefer and Eddie Hearn agreed live on national radio, I imagine UK radio, that the huge flyweight unification clash between Sonny Edwards and Julio Cesar Martinez must be made. Edwards expertly defended his IBF title at Probellum Evolution in Dubai this past weekend and immediately turned his attention to fighting Mexico's WBC belt holder Martinez next. Probellum's Schaefer said on TalkSport Studio, by the way, he was talking to host Jim White when Matchroom chief Eddie Hearn joined them to discuss the chances of the unbeaten Edwards meeting Martinez. Both strongly agreed that the WBC champion should come through with a mandatory title defense later this year. Then the fight with Edwards has to happen. Edwards, nicknamed Showtime, then joined them on the phone also from his lounger on holiday in Dubai to reinforce that he is ready and waiting to take on Martinez. Can you two get a deal done on here? Asked Jim White. I think everybody wants that fight, said Eddie Hearn. Edwards is a character and talk about rubbing people up the wrong way. He's a great guy. He's very outspoken. He's a very good fighter. He is maybe the best in the division, but it's between those two. Martinez against Sonny Edwards is definitely a fight we need to see. This is one of the most talked about fights, and I agree with your assessment of Sonny. I think he's an amazing self-promoter, and he has all the skills to back it up, added Richard Schaefer. He's a trash talker, but he can really fight. He's got it all. Hearn added, there's a great narrative in the fight and history because don't forget that Julio Cesar Martinez knocked out Sonny Edwards' brother Charlie Edwards for the WBC world title. But he actually hit him when he was on the floor and knocking him out, and the fight was ruled a no contest. There'll be a lot of trash talking, and Sonny is a nightmare. He's been having pops at Eddie Reynoso, at Canelo, of which Julio Cesar Martinez is part of the team. So the buildup is everything you want in a fight. You want two guys to go at it. Hearn went on to say, maybe you do one fight in London and one in California. Sonny is a headliner, particularly here in the UK as well, so I'm sure we could build up a nice show around it and have some matchroom fighters against some Probellum fighters and have some fun with it, said Schaefer. IBF champion Edwards then surprised Hearn to join the call and said, it's the fight that makes the most sense. There are other good fights out there for both of us in the division, but when you really think about it, there's no other fight with the backstory and with the pre-made build-up. It's a very interesting fight because it's two completely conflicting styles and it's splitting opinion pretty much down the middle, because if you ask half the people, then I'm getting knocked out in a matter of minutes, and the other half is telling you I'm going to school them. I think it's just great for boxing, and like Eddie said, it can happen anywhere. All right, let's hope that happens. Let's finish off today's episode with a quick little story about a chap whose name I cannot pronounce. Born in Kosovo, undefeated Universal Boxing Organization's International Cruiserweight Champion, speaking of the cruiserweights, Labonat X Hawksahjj, so maybe Hawksahjj, fights out of Gebensdorf, Switzerland nowadays. The 29-year-old puncher made his professional debut in Germany during the summer 2016 and also had his second paid fight in Germany. Since then, 11 of his next 14 bouts have taken place in Switzerland, with one in Bosnia and two in his native Kosovo. Between February and May 2018, he started to show his potential when he defeated fellow prospects Josef Darmos and Ervin Dijnek, and former UBO Baltic champion Jakub Sinek, the latter two inside the distance. On December 27, 2020, he boxed in Kosovo for the first time as a pro, stopping Hungarian Thomas Lodi to win the UBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title. Exactly 1 year later, he won the UBO International Cruiserweight crown, also in Kosovo, when he demolished Finland's Marko Mononen, who was 7-1 at the time, in the very first round. Clearly skilled and powerful, Hawksahjj is dangerous and ambitious, and is looking for another big fight in 2022 to further establish his name in the talent-rich cruiserweight division. Absolutely. Anyway, as I said, his record 16-0 with 13 knockouts, and that cruiserweight is a heck of a division. And we look forward to hearing more from Mr. Hawksahjj. All right. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk and Fight. Appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe our channel, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you later on today at 4 p.m. for Knuckle Up with Mike Orr at 4.